Welcome back to the program. It is exactly 34 minutes after 7. You have been kind by staying with us on the show today. We want to get into a critical conversation where the Kingdom of Eswatini equally faces a critical moment as the Trump administration's 90-day freeze on U.S. foreign assistance takes effect. While framed as a broad policy review, now the implications are deeply personal for thousands of Emaswati who depend on the life-saving health programs, especially those supported by PEPFAR. Now, the United States government's flagship initiative in the fight against HIV/AIDS as well as tuberculosis. For years, Eswatini has been a global leader in HIV response, achieving the 95-95-95 targets ahead of schedule. Now that progress is under threat. Without urgent intervention, we could see a rise in new infections, disruptions in treatment, and even a regression in gender-based violence programs. Questions are, how is government responding to this crisis? What assurances can be given to the people who rely on these programs? Joining us for this critical discussion this morning, government spokesperson Alpheus Nxumalo. Nguni, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. Really appreciate your prompt availability as always on issues of national importance. Let's speak about the immediate impact on healthcare programs to start our conversation. The Ministry of Health obviously has detailed a range of potential setbacks as detailed on their new statement, from treatment interruptions to supply chain disruptions. A lot of the things that people were already, anticipating would happen. What is government's current assessment of the immediate fallout from this funding freeze?
Well, thank you very much, Nguni, for this interaction. I think what is of immediate importance is, of course, to point out that these developments, yes, shocking as they are, however, government is still assessing the situation. Government is still waiting for an accurate position in terms of this kind of assistance being withdrawn by the executive order of the presidency in the USA. Because as you may know, we are waking up today with good news to the effect that the American government has since reconsidered its earlier position in terms of releasing this kind of assistance to certain countries and supporting certain programs which they were supporting before the executive order was signed by the president. And we are also getting used to the fact that apparently the court system or the justice system in the U.S. have somehow intervened and halted the implementation of the presidential order. So besides what we have already flagged to the nation today, in terms of what challenges, if the executive order would have been implemented, what challenges would have been proposed on the Kingdom of Eswatini. However, we are appealing to the nation and the Maswat not to press panic buttons at the moment. We do believe things are still under control. The Minister of Health was right to highlight as a technical ministry with technical issues. They were right in their own perspective to highlight those challenges that may be triggered as a result of this help being not available to the Kingdom of Eswatini. However, we are also saying to our nation and to our people in Maswati, we are still going to Parliament for the national budget. I'm sure that the Minister of Finance and together with the Minister of Health will sit down and probably, if need be, review and revisit the budget of the Minister of Health in order to accommodate some of the critical programs, which might have been disturbed by the decision of the U.S. in this regard. But for now, everything do look positive and intact. And as we have indicated yesterday, our Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Kingdom of Eswatini has later a meeting with the ambassador of the U.S., which meeting is expected to take place today. That is when we will know as government even what decision to take to mitigate against the threat that has been posed by this presidential order in particular.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mguni. And I know a lot of Emaswati, at least, given confidence, learning about, the budget speech that is still coming, as well as the opening of parliament, which of course is going to, lay the groundwork and as well as inform many of the developments that have since prevailed in recent days. But let's speak to the risk of reversing this great achievement that Eswatini holds, the 95, 95, 95 gains. It has been a global success story in HIV/AIDS control, not only hailed by Emaswati. We've heard a lot of other countries speaking to the fact that Eswatini has done a great job here, so much so we have been the benchmark when it comes to that particular gain. How real is the risk of losing the gains that we have made?
Well, for two reasons. We were not going to lose the game, and we are not losing the gains that we have achieved as a nation. Because, number one, as I've already pointed out earlier in my preamble in this interview, the assistance that was extended by the US through PEPFAR in this country is still intact. It has not been disturbed because it has been restored. Number two, we do have an able and capacitated government here. There was no way the government was going to allow these challenges posed by this presidential order to eat into the gains that we have since made as a country when it comes into the 95, 95, 95 achievements, especially, because that has not only given the Kingdom of Eswatini an international mileage on health issues, as you have pointed out, we have now become a beacon of hope to many other countries around the globe. So, as a country, I'm sure we were going to pull all our efforts and all our resources to make sure that there is no gap in this area. Like again, I am saying, this does not go against the position that was highlighted by the Honorable Minister of Health yesterday. He did what he was supposed to do as a minister heading a technical a department like health. He looked beyond and even before we received the news that we have now that the assistance is continuing. But I am saying again, I don't think we were going to sit back and allow ourselves to lose the leverage that the 95, 95, 95 achievement have actually given to the Kingdom of Eswatini. There was going to be a major budgetary shake-up in other areas in order to make sure that health programs in this country remains intact and Maswati continue to access health care as they did before.
Yeah. I can really appreciate that glass half full perspective, Nguni, in the wake of all these stories here. And indeed, we do not want to fearmonger as we continue to address such issues, and government is doing a great job there in making sure that Emaswati do not feel threatened at the very least. And you have also done that by pledging as government to ensure that ARV supplies remain available. Can you give us more details on that particular plan to secure uninterrupted treatment, especially for children and other vulnerable groups? I think it's very important that Emaswati this morning, some of whom they may have not known, that nothing is really interrupted so far. So let's put our kakhulu.
That is correct, Mguru. We are assuring the nation, as we have already done in these two respective statements by my office and the office of the Honorable Minister. HIV medication will continue to be available in all health institutions in the country. And what people must understand was that even the assistance that we were getting geared towards acquiring HIV/AIDS medication from the American side was actually not like we are not buying them. The Ministry of Health buys its own HIV/AIDS medication, and then there was only a percentage that the American government was helping us with, which was geared to assisting young children who are born with the virus. So it was a standard practice across all the countries that the American government was working with. For instance, in South Africa, the total assistance they were giving to them was only 17%. I might not be sure of what percentage in our case, but we are assuring the nation medication is readily available now as we speak. It will continue to be available. Government is committed. Whether we still keep our partners or there are some changes going forward, we are ready for this situation. Maswat are not going to suffer health issues as a result of probably not accessing this assistance even into the future.
Kabengos, thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, please continue. You wanted to say something?
No, I'm done.
Okay, Kabengos, thank you so much for your time. The government has spoken. Mitigation plans are in place. Medication remains available. And the Kingdom of Eswatini's commitment to fighting HIV/AIDS remains unwavering. Thank you so much for your time. We'll go for a net break. We have Nomzamo Dlamini, the gender coordinator under the Deputy Prime Minister's office after the break. She's speaking to the story that we woke up to yesterday on infantry abandonment.